Let's start. Okay. Welcome to my channel. So let's continue with the radar topic that was discussed in the previous videos. I have made a video, the chapter 1 for the radar. You can see the link in the description. And so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Now start the radar equations. Here, the radar equation. Actually, this was basically we have this derived an expression for maximum range where Pt G A sigma by 4 pi square S min whole power 1 by 4. So let's recap a quick recap. Here Pt is the transmitted power, G is the antenna gain, A is the effective aperture of the antenna that will be in meter square. Okay, sigma is also in the meter square only. That is called radar cross section of the target. Actually it is called radar cross section, but the term radar cross section is for the targets only. Don't confuse that with the cross section of the radar. Okay, don't confuse. Next, S min is the minimum detectable signal that will be in watts. Actually this is the received power. Okay, here we are discussing about the maximum range, so it will be minimum. The power will be received power will be minimum. Okay. But when you recall the topic that I have said, there are few parameters that this radar equation should be depending on: transmitter, receiver, dimensions of the antenna, dimension of the target, and also the environment. But if you observe, there is no term related to the environment. That term environment consisting of noise and all. So if you observe, there is no such term here. So just so that basically when we measure the value using this formula, the range is predicted using this equation 1. It is usually the range value turns out to be double the actual range. So if this value will be, the tarmax value will be double the actual range that is measured during the practical scenarios. The reason for the such large change, so basically double the value means there is a huge change in the range, right? So the reasons are the statistical nature of the minimum detectable signal. Okay, statistical nature means how it is coming, how many rays are coming and all like this. Basically the data about received signal and fluctuations and uncertainties in the target radar cross section. So target radar cross section is the target's radar cross section means basically if you remember, if it is perpendicular, the rays hit perpendicularly to the surface of, we will get the maximum rays coming back to the receiver like that. So depending all about that, this range will also be depending on the radar cross section, target's radar cross section, and we can also see noise, that is the losses experienced throughout a radar system, that can be internally or externally. So propagation effects caused by the Earth surface and atmosphere. This is the nature due to natural effects like heat or some in other effects. It can be thermal, it can be electromagnetic, it can be any noise. So hence the range of the target radar is the function of probability of detection PD and the probability of false alarm EF. So there should be in the radar equation there should be these two terms also should be included. This PD is called probability of detection and the probability of false alarm. False alarm detection means you can understand what is the probability that a target will be detected surely, and probability of false alarm means even if there is no target, due to some noises, these noises might be so huge that radar will be detecting that as a target. That means there is no target but it is detecting a target. That is called a false alarm. The radar equation is an important tool for which is for performance of a radar. Determine the there are 2 points, okay, for the radar equation: performance of a radar and the system trade-offs that must be considered when they're designing a new radar system, and aiding in generating the technical requirements for a new radar protocol for new radar procurement. Okay, so detection of signals in noise. Basically, if you know the term SNR, basically introduce the term SNR in the radar equation also. So let's see a sample thing what we are discussing about. So let us see this function, signal voltage versus time, that is being received. So this is the envelope of a radar received output of the function of time. A, B and C represents the signal pulse noise, and A and B would have valid detection, but C is a missed detection. Okay, that means this is the threshold. So when it crosses the threshold, so the A and B would be valid detections. So these two will be some what you call there is a target that is surely detected, but C is a mixed detection. That means C is also a target, but it's due to small loss of voltage, it's not been detected. Okay, the weakest signal that can be determined by the receiver is the minimum detectable signal. That's the estimate. So minimum detectable signal is not preferred method for the describing the ability of a radar receiver to detect echo signal from the target. That means due to impracticality, because we didn't include any noise terms and all in the radar equation, we just relied on the minimum signal that can be detected. So it is not a preferred method. So threshold is the set at the receiver end to declare the threshold is the set at the receiver end to decide the personal absence of the target, and the threshold is set by taking into account the environment. So in the threshold there will be how the threshold is detected is, or let's say the threshold value will be found is depending on the environment and probability of detection and the probability of false alarm. Depending on these three terms, this threshold will be set. So if the threshold is high, then they will high. So see, if threshold is high, then they miss the actual target echo. If you observe this diagram, for example, if this is actually this they have set. So for example, this line is somewhat above, it might also miss this B1 because there is it's like barely touched. So this threshold level. So that's what. If we increase this threshold, there is a chance of missing the target. If we okay, if the threshold high, okay, and this is called target miss or missed detection. So if the threshold is too low, then there will be declared the noise alone signals can also detect. This is not declared desirable, and there is called the false alarm. That means if you observe this, if this is too low, like here somewhere here, okay, so you can observe my hand, right? So here, then these are not these are noise components, okay, this is not an actual target, but actually these are exceeding that if what you call the threshold level that we now exceed. So this radar might detect these noises as also a target. So that detection is called false alarm. That okay. Output of figure is the output of the matched filter. This maximizes the detectability of the targets. So okay. So the selection of threshold is in the trade-off. Basically, where to select. If it is too high, the target might miss. If it is too low, the false alarm will come there. So basically, the selection of threshold is the trade-off between these two. Okay. So receiver noise and the signal to noise ratio. So basically, this is the radar equation that we have already seen without any noise, SNR and all. So So aim is to to receive noise in SNR even if the environment is noise free. So basically, if the environment that means the signal is coming back, that environment is noise free, even though it is noise free, there will be a noise because of electronic movements of the radar, because the radar, how it will work, basically it will rotate the term, like basically that part will also come at the end of the session. Due to the motion, electrical motion or circuits, this what you call due to the electrical components or due to the motion of the radar system, they will use heat generation. So one second. So so the receiver, okay, that does not the transmitter does not add, okay, now even if the I told you, even the environment is noise free, the receivers due to the receiver circuit parts or the electronic movements will cause some heat, that is like thermal noise. So the thermal noise or the thermal noise is also called as Johnson noise. So is directly proportional to the bandwidth and absolute temperature of the ohmic portions of the input circuits. So basically what he meant was, if the bandwidth is too high, there will be huge generation, or either due to the part like ohmic parts. That means what he is trying to say is, even it is for example, if you take a resistor or something, when you use it, like when the current is passed through it, there will be some power generation, right? Power dissipated, that will be in the form of heat. That's what. So the available thermal noise power generated at the input of the receiver of bandwidth Bn. Okay, Bn is the bandwidth at the temperature. At a temperature, it is measured in kelvins. Is we have found a relation between thermal noise and the temperature and the bandwidth. So thermal noise is directly proportional to temperature and the bandwidth. Receiver bandwidth. So receiver of available thermal noise power okay, is equals to K into TB. This proportional constant is replaced with a K. This is called Boltzmann constant, and the Boltzmann constant value is 1.38 into 10 power minus 23 joule per degree. Okay, this is per degree. So Bn is a noise bandwidth defined by when you write a formula for noise bandwidth, we will get this relation where mod h of f square df by h of f naught whole square. H of f is the frequency response function of intermediate amplifier. When you observe that, when you recall, when you recall this structure, there are intermediate frequency amplifiers and all second detector, detector. So all this, okay. So we are talking about this IF amplifier here. Okay. So frequency response function of the and IF amplifier. So f naught. So frequency of the maximum response. This here, when you observe here, this frequency response is a function of f. When you substitute this f with f naught, this f naught is the frequency of maximum response. Okay, next noise figure. When you come to the noise figure part, basically it is the ratio between noise due to the practical receiver and the noise out of an ideal receiver at a temperature T. That means even if it is the ideal receiver, there will be some noise. So the ratio between the practical noise by the ideal noise, basically this is called Fn, noise figure. So when you formulate this, it will be N naught by N out by K and KT naught B and GA. So where N naught is the noise out of the receiver. Okay, that is noise generated by the receiver, noise out. So GA is the available gain. How much gain there are by the radar. So when the both the input and the output are matched to the delivery maximum output power, the GA gain is defined as. So when this condition is satisfied, that means when both the input and the output are matched to deliver maximum output power, okay, the gain is defined as the S signal out by signal in. The signal out is that is the signal that is generated out from the transmitter. The S in is the echo signal that is getting taken by the receiver. So signal out, the ratio between S out by S in is the available gain. So let the input Ni is, as we discussed this, let the input that means what you call Ni is the KT what you call what. So as there is already there is no noise out of the receiver, there will be some input noise also. That noise can be formulated as KTN not BN. So when you substitute these values here in this equation, Fn is equal to here, then we get Fn is equal to N naught by Nin into S out by Sin, and just rearrange this. So basically we are not substituting this here. What we have substituted here is this GA. Okay, here instead of this GA we have substituted this one, and instead of KT and not BA we substituted N. So by rearranging the we're taking the all the input terms on the numerator and the output terms on the denominator. So when you observe this, it is like signal by noise. So here we can partially you can see there is some term that is explaining about SNR, signal by noise. So from the equation 6, noise figure may be interpreted as a measure of the degradation of the signal to the noise ratio as the signal passes through the receiver. So as the signal is passing through the steps in the inside the receiver, there is many blocks inside the receiver, right? So as it progresses to the next block, there will be some reduction due to losses. So this Fn is the same thing. And now rearranging for S in, the same equation for to find out what is the input signal that is detected by the receiver. That Sin is equals to Fn this one, and Fn and S out as in. Though when you substitute back the N in as KT and not Bn, we get this. So we know that as for the maximum range, what we have considered for minimum signal power. Basically that means minimum receiver signal. So for minimum signal, what we can do, just replace this S in as the S min. So for that minimum signal we will get an expression. So at that time what should be the maximum, as these are the constants, only this can be the change. So S out by N out will be minimum. As these two are directly proportional, as S in is minimum, so as S out by N out is also minimum. So S out by, okay. Next, just taking this term just replacing this S out by N out by S by N min. Okay, we just write this like this, and so S min can be written as KT naught Bn Fn S by N min. The radar range equation is given as, now basically here S min is there, so basically we wrote S dash min or S min, so we just replace this S dash min with this S min. This S min as this equation. So just substitute that here, we will get an equation where here we can see all the terms related that we have studied. That transmitter, the ranges depending on the transmitter, receiver, okay, the noise, environment, and all. So let's further discuss about this. So everything we have discussed actually. So when you observe, the advantage here is this S by N is a constant fixed value. This is SNR, right? So that is not independent of a receiver bandwidth and the noise figure. Basically you can see these two terms are there, but we are talking only about this term. Okay, if you see this S by N Inside this S band there is no terms for like to find FN, like bandwidth or FN. We just removed them outside. So these are what you call, this S band is now independent of receiver bandwidth and the noise figure. So probability density functions. So probability density functions is a PDF. So noise is a why we are to study about probability, because noise is a term where we can't determine that. It is an indeterministic thing. So only through so what can I say? Only through probability we just assume that how much noise is available, or is that there is no noise or something like that. So probability is a measure of likelihood of the occurrence of an event. So there are different types of PDF, like uniform PDF, Gaussian PDF, Rayleigh PDF, exponential PDF. So just like brief about these PDFs. Like when you take uniform PDF, it is generally a rectangles like a rectangular graph where starting from A to A plus B, that B is the width and the height is 1 by B. If you take this as 1 by B, so basically when you write it as a PDF, probability distribution function, this is not a probability function, that will be 1 by B of 1 by B, right, at a range of A to A plus B, 0 otherwise. So for a Gaussian PDF, this is like a bell curve where at x0, that is mean, we'll observe the peak value. That value is 1 by root 2 pi sigma. Sigma is the standard deviation. So when you write the expression for PDF of Gaussian PDF, it is 1 by root 2 pi sigma square exponent e power minus x minus x0. X0 is the mean, whole square by 2 sigma square. Sigma square can be termed as a variance. Okay. So Rayleigh PDF. So Rayleigh PDF is like this. This can be formulated as 2x. This is the probability function of a Rayleigh PDF. The Rayleigh PDF is 2x by m2 exponents of minus x square by m2, where x is greater than or equal to 0, where m2 is the average of x square. Okay, is the mean square root value basically. That m2 is the mean square root value of x. So exponential PDF is this exponential function. For this probability distribution, it is 1 by x0 exponential e power minus x by x0, where x is greater than or equal to 0. So x0 is equal to mean value of x. Okay. Basically x0 is the mean. So probabilities of detection and false alarm. So this is like PD and PFA. So when you just recall the diagram where there is two blocks, transmitter and the receiver. This receiver has some low noise RF amplifier mixed with low oscillatory frequency that will be generating intermediate frequency amplifiers, and they will match a filter to maximize the output, and then this will be sent to the second detector demodulator, what we call. Then it will be video amplified to see whether where the target is, and this will send to the threshold decision. That means video amplifier is to just to make this signal to be visible while displayed on a monitor. So that's what. And the threshold decision will, what I have told, if it is too high, they might miss the target. If it is too low, there is a chance of false detection. So it is the trade-off between both. Trade-off between what false misdetection of the false alarm. It's a trade-off between misdetection of the false alarm. So when it comes to here, and this so here when you see there are receiver noises low. So probability of false alarm. The false alarm, it occurs when the receiver echo signal is due to noise alone and is received and it exceeds the threshold. So as I told, the receiver echo sequence to the noise. Okay, what we meant means basically when the detection, the target, like when the radar detected the target, but actually the target was not there, but due to the noise signal, like it thought that there is a target there, so that is a false alarm. And we can also say that when it exceeds the threshold, basically when it exceeds the threshold it will be detected. Okay, so that exceeding of threshold is only purely depending duty of noise, then it is a false detection, false alarm. Okay, for mixer, from mixer, when you observe this block, the mixer, there is block set, that's all. Mixer, it will be sent to IF amplifier with a bandwidth of intermediate frequencies bandwidth, and second detector. Okay, like 2D detector, that is the second detector, and then it is passed through a VD amplifier. Okay, that VD amplifier's bandwidth is dB. So the entire these three blocks are entirely called together as envelope detector, and then this will be sent to the threshold VT. Okay, portion. Okay, next, the receiver noise at the input of IF filter is described by the Gaussian probability density function with 0. We have Gaussian or normal PDF, both are same. So from that Gaussian, see what he is saying there, that intermediate filter is described by the, okay, that filter will be the received noise at the input of the IF filter will be described using this Gaussian probability. Okay, so using the Gaussian 1 by root of 2 pi sigma square exponent of this. Here what he is told is with the mean 0, that means x naught will be 0, so only x square term by 2 sigma. So by replacing x with v, and also sigma sigma with root sigma, okay, sigma with root psi naught, then what will get an expression as this minus this one by 2 pi sigma psi naught exponential minus v by 2 psi naught. Psi naught is that I think there should be square. I'm not sure where V is the voltage due to the noise alone. Mean square value of the noise voltage. Okay. Rice has shown in Bell system technical that Gaussian noise is passed through the IF filter. The probability density function of envelope R is given as the relay PDF. So what he is basically trying to tell is they are trying to tell the probability distribution function of the envelope will be found by using the relay PDF. So relay PDF P of R is the that voltage or some whatever the term is equals to R by sigma psi naught exponential function. Basically this will be e power minus R square by 2 psi naught. Okay, so here when Gaussian noise is passed through the IF filter, when the Gaussian noise is passed through the IF filter, the probability density function of the envelope V1 is the Rayleigh PDF. So Bell system technology has a paper which showed that R is the envelope, right? That envelope is the voltage of V1, that voltage level basically. So the P of V1 is equals to V1 by sigma naught psi naught exponential e power basically minus V1 square by 2 psi naught. So he replaced R with V1. The probability that envelope of the noise voltage will exceed the voltage threshold VT. So as you see previously, this voltage threshold is called VT. That will be ranges VT. That means the probability of V1 has that the probability of V1. Okay, this is a probability distribution function, but we need probability. So to find the probability from PDF is integrating that. So we need some limits to integrate. So those limits are of V1. So what will be the limits of V1? It will be the limits from threshold to infinite. That means whenever it exceeds the threshold, from the point of threshold to infinity only we can like when the value is the value that is received by the detector, the voltage or something that exceeds the threshold, then exceeds or then only it will detect there is a target, right? So that can extends to infinity, basically from the threshold level to the infinity. And then okay, the filter, the probability density function of the envelope v1 is the Rayleigh PDF. So basically the same repeated PDF. So here so here we just expanding this formula here, and we just write this as e power minus like this, and let v1 square is equal to u, and du by, like we are just derivating and replacing, and we derive this, and finally we get an equation, this one. Okay, this is the probability of false alarm, where exponential minus vt square e power minus vt square by 2 psi naught, probability of false alarm. Okay. So for the radar operator, it is convenient if the time between the two alarms is known rather than its probability. So like what he said, in radar operators, if they know that the time interval between two false alarms, then it will be easier rather than probability. So the average time between crossings of the threshold when the noise alone is present. That means when the voltage level is crossing the threshold due to only pure noise, that average time, that is TFA. Okay, that average time TFA, that is equals to the limit n tends to infinity 1 by n sigma k is equal to 1 to n tk. That is the average, right? Basically average is the sum by the number of things. So we can observe some graph here where there is some envelope shown here, that is only noise alone. This, okay, no signal component is present. This envelope is due to only noise. So you can see there are few peaks that are crossing. These noise components are crossing the threshold level. So first peak to the second peak, that means the first noise peak to the second noise peak, the time gap is tk, capital Tk, and this like the another, like second to third is t k plus 1, like so on. There will be many things. And also there is a term here, the width of that peak, that is in terms of time. Okay, how much time that peak is existed. So that is t small t k, like that. Here is t small t k plus 1, like that, t k plus 2, like that it will be. So the false alarm is something a radar customer or operator can better relate to that the probability of the false alarm. So the same point what you discussed here, when in the radar operators, if you know the time gap between the false alarms, it will be very easy to solve. So so relation between PFA, probability of false alarm, and the average false alarm. The PFA will be equal to the noise envelope above the threshold. That means how much time it is above this guy. Okay, the small tk, how much time it is above the threshold to how much chance it has. This means from here to here there is a chance, that means capital Tk. Until here it might extend. So that what he said. So better. So that's the means total time. He is talking about the total. So total Tk by total capital Tk. So how can from here, as these are both are same ratios, and when you taken the n part, because this is k from the same range 1 to n and 1 to n. So if you divide numerator and divide with the n, we can make this as sum by number of things. So it will be the average, right? So sum of the times by number of times. so it will be average. So as we discussed, the average Tk is the capital T Fa, as we already seen here, capital T Fa, that average time between crossings of the threshold. And we'll just left this part as this one. Okay. So the average duration of the threshold crossing the noise Tk average is approximately the reception of the IF bandwidth B. So this part will is approximately equal to the bandwidth. Okay. So just replacing every time, and what we got finally is the probability function is equal to 1 by probability of false alarm. So probability of false alarm will be equal to 1 by TFA, that is the average time for the average time between crossings of the thresholds. Yeah. Thresholds into bandwidth of the receiver. So this when replace this TF there and here, and we got this equation, and we know that TFA from the above terms. So the probability of false alarm, this expression we substitute there, and we got this this expression. So this is a graph. We can see that's the threshold to the noise ratio to the average time between the false alarms, that's capital F. So we can observe there is a graph like this. As the frequency increases, there is a shift of the graph to the left. That's right side. Okay. Problems. Probability of detection, and the target detection is declared when the received echo signal consisting of target detection noise crossing the thresholds. Okay. So target detection is declared what you call when the signal due to the target is crossing the threshold, then it is called then we can say the target is detected. Okay. So don't confuse it. There is two chances that will crosses the threshold. One is only due to pure noise can also cross, or a target signal. That means with some noise will be there surely, but it is not only the noise, but there is also the components present due to the targets. So that's that one. So that target components present signal is there. When that signal crossing the threshold point, then we can say the target is detected. So let the echo signal be sine wave of its amplitude A along with the Gaussian noise at the input detector. Then the PDF. So as it is set a Gaussian, so and so then the PDF of the envelope V1 at the video output. Okay. That's the term that we replaced with the red, that was that's the term. So V1 by psi naught of e power minus V1 square plus a square by 2 psi naught into I naught of V1 a by psi naught. A is the amplitude. So here this I naught term is the I naught of z. Let us take this I naught of z generalized form. So that is called as the Bessel function of a zero order, and that is the so 1 minute. Okay. So in I naught of z, and this is called e power z by root or 2 pi z, and just this general function, the Bessel function. I need to remember this actually. So the final expression will be like this. So as this is the probability function, to find the probability of detection, so using the integration of the PDF, we get this probability of detection. Okay. So also in radar system analytics is more convenient to use SNR at the power ratio than these terms. So when you observe, there are terms like this, a square by 2 5 psi naught, like that, right? A by psi naught. So rather using them, we can use SNR basically S by N formula. So how to replace that means that A by psi root, like basically A by root psi naught is equivalent to the signal out amplitude by RMS noise voltage. So that is equal to root 2 into RMS signal voltage by RMS noise voltage. So when you take out the root, whole root, it will be 2 times of signal amplitude by noise power, so 2s by n whole root. So as doing above calculations and all, Albert had developed a simple empirical formula for us to solve to find the S by N. So that is A plus 0.12 A B plus 1.7 B. This A is called ln 0.62 by probability of false alarm, and B is then ln by PD by 1 minus PD. PD is the probability of detection. So the same thing. Okay, don't confuse this. S by N will not be in dB. We need to convert after if the question asks if they want in dB, then we are need to do 10 log of this value S by N. So this is another graph of the same SNS to signal to noise ratio to the probability of detection. Okay. So this substituted this and we got here, and we need to convert this to dB, so we multiply with 10 log of 24.66 like that. So integration of radar pulses. So basically integration of radar pulses is basically the receiver won't receive only single pulse. There will be multiple pulses that will be received by the receiver. So how many signals will be received? That one we need to find first. So that is the term N. That means how many number of pulses that a receiver will receive from the same target for every second. So that when you from our understanding, what we can say is as theta b is the beam width, as we discussed already in the previous lecture. This beam width, and this beam width. So as the width of the beam is more, then there will be the chance of high number of beams that can be sent. If there is high number of high number of waves or pulses are sent, then there will be chance of receiving high number of pulses. So it is directly proportional. Beam width is directly proportional here, and pulse repetition frequency, if it is more, the frequency is more, there will be chance of increasing number of pulses that is transmitted, and there are number of signals of transmitting is increased, there is a huge chance of getting more number of received signals. So it is also directly proportional, and this is theta s. This term theta s is called scanning rate. Okay, theta s dot is defined as a scanning. That means if you observe a radar, they will actually move. Okay, they will rotate actually. So how much rate they are rotating? Basically, we can say term RPM, rotation per minute. How much at what angle speed it is rotating. So, but actually this data should be in degrees. So if they are given in RPM, we need to convert it into degrees per second. This theta b will say anyways it is in degrees, so it's fine. So when you calculate here this frequency and theta b, if it is, for example, here this 5 RPM they gave, so it is 5 rotations per revolutions per minute. One revolution is 360 degrees, so 5 into 360 degrees by, we need to convert this minute to seconds, so by 60, like that. Like that we need to do. So that's all. Now find that N. Just process summing all the radar echo and available. So the process of summing all the radar echoes available from the target is called radar pulse integration. So I told you now, basically there will be so many number of pulses will be received. So what we'll do, we'll sum up all these signals that are received. This will make some or we might integrate depending on the situation. So integration that is performed in the radar receiver before the second detector, that is 2D detector. That integration that is performed before the 2D detector is called pre-detection integration or a coherent integration. Okay. The integration that is performed the radar receiver before the second is called this one, and it requires the phase of echo signal. Actually, to do that integration, we need the phase of the echo signals. So that's why we call this as a so echo signals pulses, and it is known as preserved in order. Okay. So that phase of the echo should be known and preserved in order. But means the if the first pulse phase is 1 degree and second pulse is 2, like that we need to store them in a particular order and to combine the sine wave pulses in phase. Like what we'll do then, we combine all this into a single waveform and out of losses. Okay. Sometimes to combine the single pulses in phase without loss. So because of the phase requirement, this is called coherent. So why we are replacing them in order? Because without don't have any losses. So integration after the second detector. So after the 2D detector, if you do the integration, that is known as post detection or the non-coherent detection. It is the easy to accomplish than the pre-detection. Post detection is easier than pre-detection. Integration, since the phases of echoes are not preserved, so basically we don't bother about the what phases of those echoes in the in post detection. Only the envelopes of the pulses need to be analyzed to perform addition or integration. That depends. So only just we need the envelopes, that means the voltage levels. So if you integrate n pulses the same SNR, then it will be n times, right? So predicted integrated gives pre-detection integration gives the SNR, which is exactly the n times of a single pulse. Post-detection integration gives SNR which is less than n times. This should be written out. The post-detection, it will be less than the n times of the single pulse. This is because integration loss is caused by the non-linear action of the second detector, because these waves are passing through some detector, right? Due to this detector, there will be some losses. That detector is a non-linear one. Some of the So see, if you observe here, before envelope detector, it will be like this. After this envelope, there will be due to noises and all, it will be a zigzag. So the radar range equation of n pulses. So what we have replaced is S by n with S by of n. Understood? For the total SNR. So the SNR of each n equal pulses that are integrated. So integration of SNR pulse reduces the false alarm rate. Why we should do this? Because to decrease the false alarm rate and increase the detection of probability detection. Formula. And to find that S by n of n, there is a formula minus 5 log base 10 of n plus 6.2 plus 4.5 by root n plus 0.44 into log base 10 of this. Okay, this part is like basically this old SNR. If you observe, this is the old SNR that S by n, this is the old part, right? That part. Okay, next thing, this calculator. Okay, so radar cross section of the target. Basically, this just briefly tell, this is not that important here. Basically, the radar cross section, the term is the sigma, where already seen in the re-radiated power density. Density where VTJ by 4 pi r square into sigma by 4 pi r square. Here, the sigma can be defined as the standard deviation of RC. The standard deviation, the standard definition of radar cross section occurred to electromagnetic scattering, where sigma is the power reflected towards the source by unit solid angle. So solid angle is basically basically when you see normal angle, it is in 2 dimension. When it comes to 3 dimension objects, it will be called solid angle, and by the incident power density by 4 pi. So when we substitute this, we got 4 pi r square into mod ER by EI whole square. This ER is the electric field of received electric field strength of echo signal. Basically, echo signals electric field strength, and E is the incident electric transmitted. That in electric field strength incident on the target. Okay, R is the range of the target. The range to the target. How much range the target is. So the RCS of simple targets. There is two types of target. There is one is simple target, another is complex target. So simple targets is like solid shapes like sphere, cylinder, flat plate, rod, like this. These are simple to analyze, but complex targets are very, like example, aircraft, missile ships, ground vehicles, buildings, and terrains, etc. But this will be found by how it will find. They will take a small portion, and that small portions will be similar to the simpler shapes, and they will sum up them. So simple targets. When you observe this, there is a graph between circumference of wavelength. These simple objects are we can easily find the circumference of simple objects, right? That's what. So for cell 2 pairs, so like that, 2 pair like that. The circumference by wavelength and the sigma, that is RCS per pi square area. So till this ratio circumference per wavelength is 1, the ratio is 1, we got a straight line, linear plane. So this region is called Rayleigh region, and this damping oscillation occurs. So this region is called resonance region or Mie region, and at some point where this ratio is much greater than 1, it will be kept constant. So that region is called optical region. So we can observe here there is two types of waves: specular return or creeping wave return. What happens here is there is actually I'll explain this topic. Okay, so here what we can see is basically this topic is also already known in the lower classes, primary schools, I think in secondary school. When you take an object, okay, when a light is passed over here, and this light will bend at the corner edges, okay. So this phenomenon really we are observing now. So we can observe this one also when we see an object, okay. Actually light bends at the end. When you see an object here and if we focus some light onto it, even it is blocking. That means if you take some torchlight which is smaller than this diameter, place it behind this, like for example this is the light source and this is the object with some gap, okay. When you observe from this side, okay, when you observe this from this side, still even it is blocking the light, there is some part, some white background, a slight whitish line will be found. That is due to this bending of the light. So that's the same thing here. What the because this light is also electromagnetic wave and the radar is also electromagnetic waves, they are there to bend. So when you take a smooth object, okay, there is a chance when the rays are coming and they will bend, okay, like this and come back, okay. Like there is a bending of the wave. What is the other chance? Like this. This is normal. It is hitting on one, but it is not hitting. Basically, it's like edge. And due to this edge, it is likely it's bending like this. So this part is called. This part is the creeping wave return. Okay. This is the spectral return. So backscatter electric field of a short pulse scattered from a conducting sphere, showing the spectral return travels around the back. Okay. Travels around the back. Okay. So basically these are all known. next targets. Just see here. If you observe a plane, there is so much scattering of depending on the side, it will scatter it. It will be random. So noise components, and if you observe this plane here, the radar detected these parts. Okay, basically these parts are turbo engines here, and this is nose part and all. Side. Now coming to the pulse repetition frequency. So pulse repetition frequency is already known. This part just have some more detail. Here echoes that error after the transmission of the next pulse is called second time round echoes. Okay, so echoes that arrives after the transmission of the next pulse is called second time round echoes. That means what already seen in the past class. If I sent a pulse, but the target is somewhere far, and we know that this pulse will have some pulse width, and it will wait for the echo to listen, and again it will send. Actually, what happened? This pulse is also sent, and it is in the basically this pulse corresponding to the first one is it and in the process of traveling back, but it is too far, so that the time got over, and another pulse is sent, and now this when the second pulse is sent, this pulse got detected by the radar. That means it will think that due to the second pulse it will come. So basically this pulse is called, okay, this is called second time round echo, because due to second pulse is sent. Like that, if it is multiple times, that is multiple time round echoes. So echoes that arrive after the transmission of the multiple pulses are multiple time round echo. So ambiguous, actually discuss unambiguous, it is ambiguous. That means there is a confusion, right? That a confucius range echoes that can be recognized by the changing the PRF of the radar. When the PRF is changed, the unambiguous echoes remains at the true range, whereas ambiguous ranges echoes appear different ranges. What he meant was, if I take three targets, target A, target B, target C, this target A is within this unambiguous range, target B and C are not. Okay. So what happens when we try to but what happened? The radar sent and it detected three things. In these three things, which target? It detected three targets. Fine. So which target is within the unambiguous range? We don't know. So how to find? Just change the frequency. If there is a little bit change in the frequency of pulse repetition frequency, then what will happen? See, so if there is a small change in the pulse repetition frequency, the target which was within the unambiguous range will not change. The position will be same here only, but this will vary. These two are not in this range, so they are varying. So from that we can we can detect which is within the unambiguous range, which is not in the unambiguous range. So basically we can solve this problem, to find the unambiguous range targets with two pulse frequencies f1, f2, but in general we'll take three equations, like three different pulses, and we'll find. So how to find and all we'll see. So first what to do is, for example, if I use it for f1, okay, and f1 is the PRF, okay, and unambiguous range is RUN1, and the apparent range is R1. Then the true range will be R1, either R1, it can be R1 or R1 plus RN or R1 plus 2 RN, like that. So we got one equation, and let's change the frequency to f2. For that f2 there will be one RN, another range, and there will be another R2. So when you try to same thing, R2 or R2 plus RUN2 or something like that will get. So when you compare both two equations, there will be one particular value. Like for example, I will show you a problem, then you will be understand this better. So let's take this example. So f1 is this much, so r1 is given as 40 kilometers, run is to find c by 2 f1 100 kilometers. For that f1, the r true range will be r1 either 40 kilometers or 40 plus 100, 140 kilometers, 240 kilometers, so on. Now change the frequency to 1000 hertz. Okay, so if they change this to 1000 hertz. So now with this 1000 hertz, there will be r2 will be 90 kilometers, r1 is c by 2 f2, that is 150 kilometers. So either it will be 90 kilometers, 90 plus 150, 240, 390, so on. When I compare these two, this 240 kilometers is repeating here also. That means this the entire true value will be 240 kilometers, like that. So the target that is present at 240 kilometers is the unambiguous, is within the unambiguous range. So this is the same formula that we have seen for n s and s by n of n. Substitute the values and do that. So actually, here one thing I think I forgot. Basically, how much sugar? Sulfur and actually I think we should what you call, we have to take the seal value. Okay, that means if we got the value as 3.2 or 3.1, even if it is 3.1 also or 3.0009 also, we should take 4 like the seal value. Like means the value between 3 and 4 will be 4, 4 to 5 is 5, like that. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the session and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.